order to make money, you need something that spits out free cash flow. And what I mean by that is profit that you can actually use. Because here's the other thing I'm going to tell you. People always look at net worth. They go, oh, he has $100 million net worth, but his entire net worth is in his company. And he can't take out money out of his company because he may have investors or this or that. Or you have certain people, for example, a lot of people in the property game where they have a lot of money, their portfolio is worth a lot, but they're not very cash rich. They don't actually have a lot of cash laying around. They're wealthy, but their money is tied up in places. And that's not the place that you want to be at when you're first starting a business. So a lot of businesses, like for example, building a proper e-commerce brand. And by the way, when I say proper e-commerce brand, once again, I'm speaking from experience. I've had an eyewear company for a few years. And the thing is, the packaging, everything is beautiful. We've got this beautiful black velvet finish on the inside. So this business is okay. It's my smallest business. It makes around $1.2 to $1.5 million a year. And that sounds great until you realize that we have 50% margins. So I'm only keeping 50% of that money. And it's even worse when you realize that any of my profit that I make, I can't keep. I have to roll that into new stock because especially a product like this is actually very difficult to make. So for me to put in an order now of another 5,000 to 10,000 units, I may only get that in 3, 4, 5 months, depending on the time of the year. So even though someone would look at it and go, that's a $1.5 million a year business at 50% margins, you never actually get to keep that profit because you always have to reinvest into the business. And that is very different to, for example, a service-based business. So if you're offering a service to clients, whether that be building their marketing funnels, whether that be doing their short form content, little short form TikToks and reels and doing lots of those and creating many accounts for them and distributing it all over the internet, all the way to doing, for example, their Google ads and focusing specifically on Google ads for e-commerce brands as an example. Listen, whatever the service is, it needs to have one of two things: high perceived value to the client. And what I mean by that is it needs to be something that they're like, oh, wow, this is actually worth it. I'm more than happy as a business to pay this external consultant or service provider $1,000 a month, $3,000 a month, you name it. Or it needs to have high leverage. And what I mean by that is, listen, you can still be an online personal trainer, but if you want to make $10,000 a month, you need to hire people below you who work as coaches. And that way you're an online personal trainer and you do some of the coaching, but then you may have coaches underneath you, personal trainers that work at local gyms, and you just pay them a small fee and they do the rest of the coaching. So that's leverage. Or let's say you have an agency that creates YouTube thumbnails for people. Thumbnails on YouTube are such an important aspect to video, but people don't pay crazy amounts for thumbnails. But if you can hire someone in Brazil, Romania, India for $1,000 a month, which is a great salary there, especially remotely, and their work is able to produce $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month in terms of business for your thumbnail agency or for your thumbnail performance marketing business, whatever you want to call yourself. The point is that is leverage. That's you being able to take something off your plate. So either you need to offer a service or guidance consulting on something that brings so much value to businesses that you can actually make 10K a month just as a solopreneur, or more realistically, you'll be able to do it solo until $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month. And then you need to start using leverage and you need to maybe make a little less on the margin, but make far more money at the end of the month because you have people who can deliver these things for you. So just remember, with the business models that I'm talking about, you're not going to make $100 million. I'm going to be very honest with you. But the other thing that you're not going to do is you're not going to go broke. And that's the unfortunate thing with a lot of these other businesses. For example, I'll give you my main business, my software company. That is a business that gets into the multiple 9 figures. And that's all cool and fine and well, but you need to realize there's a big chunk of money needed that I had to put forward to start the company. And that's number one. But then I had the massive competitive advantage of a massive audience.